There are certain years in automotive history that become legendary only after they've passed. At the time, they seem ordinary, just another model year. Another trip to the dealership. Another new car rolling onto showroom floors. But decades later, historians look back and realize those moments marked the end of an era. For Cadillac, that year was 1971. The world hadn't yet experienced the oil crisis. Strict fuel economy regulations were still on the horizon. Emission standards were only beginning to reshape engine design, and American automakers were still free to pursue one simple goal: build the finest luxury automobiles they possibly could. The 1971 Cadillac Sedan DeVille became one of the greatest examples of that philosophy. It wasn't merely a full-size luxury sedan. It represented the final chapter before government regulations. Rising fuel prices and industry-wide downsizing permanently changed the American automobile. More than 50 years later, enthusiasts don't simply remember the 1971 DeVille because it was large. They remember it because it embodied everything Cadillac believed the perfect luxury car should be. To understand why this car remains so special today, you first need to understand the company that built it. During the 1960s, Cadillac operated very differently from most automobile manufacturers. Rather than focusing primarily on production numbers or cost reduction, Cadillac engineers viewed themselves as craftsmen pursuing perfection. The division proudly carried the slogan, "Standard of the World," a phrase that had appeared in Cadillac advertising since the early 20th century. By the late 1960s, many inside the company genuinely believed they had earned that title. Every new Cadillac had to improve upon the one before it. If another manufacturer introduced a better feature, Cadillac responded with something even more advanced. If a superior material became available, Cadillac used it. Engineering decisions weren't driven solely by budgets or marketing studies. Instead, the focus remained on refinement, quality, durability, and customer comfort. That philosophy laid the foundation for one of the most ambitious redesigns in Cadillac history. For the 1971 model year, General Motors completely redesigned its full-size lineup. Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, and Cadillac all received entirely new body structures. Yet while the other GM divisions focused primarily on fresh styling, Cadillac treated the new platform as an opportunity to build the finest luxury sedan in America. Design leadership came from one of the most influential automotive stylists of the 20th century, Bill Mitchell. Mitchell had already transformed Cadillac's image with unforgettable designs like the 1967 Eldorado. His philosophy was simple. A Cadillac shouldn't blend into traffic. It should command attention from the moment it appears in someone's rearview mirror. The 1971 Sedan DeVille perfectly reflected that vision. Its proportions were enormous by any standard. The wheelbase stretched an impressive 130 inches. Overall length measured nearly 226 inches, making the car almost 19 feet long. Its width approached 80 inches, nearly matching the size of many modern full-size pickup trucks. Despite those massive dimensions, however, the DeVille never appeared awkward. Its carefully balanced proportions prevented it from feeling oversized. Instead, it projected elegance. The front end immediately established the car's presence. A bold V-shaped egg crate grille dominated the nose, flanked by quad headlamps set within sharply sculpted bezels. Large vertical bumper guards framed the grille without appearing excessive, while the iconic Cadillac crest proudly sat atop the leading edge of the hood. Running down the center of that enormous hood was a crisp character line that extended toward the windshield, giving the front of the car remarkable visual strength. Small indicator lamps, perched atop each front fender, added another touch of sophistication, while subtly helping drivers judge the vehicle's corners along the lower body. Polished stainless steel rocker moldings stretched nearly the entire length of the car. These chrome accents reflected sunlight beautifully, emphasizing the DeVille's graceful proportions without overwhelming its clean styling. Although undeniably massive, the design never felt bulky. Every line served a purpose. Every surface appeared intentional. Then came the interior. If the exterior impressed buyers, the cabin completely redefined expectations for American luxury. The newly engineered body allowed Cadillac designers to create one of the roomiest passenger compartments ever installed in a production automobile. Interior shoulder room reached record-setting dimensions that General Motors wouldn't surpass again until the early 1990s. Think about that for a moment. A spaciousness record established in 1971 remained unmatched for more than 20 years. That achievement wasn't accidental. Cadillac engineers deliberately prioritized passenger comfort from the very beginning of the design process. 3 adults could comfortably sit across the wide front bench seat without feeling cramped. Rear passengers enjoyed limousine-like legroom, making long-distance travel exceptionally relaxing. Even by today's standards, the DeVille's interior feels remarkably spacious. Cadillac also offered an impressive selection of premium materials. Buyers could choose luxurious Sierra grain leather in multiple color combinations or select elegant cloth upholstery featuring beautifully stitched patterns, metallic fabric options, premium carpeting, wood grain accents. An exclusive Florentine textured trim transformed the cabin into something that felt more like an upscale hotel lounge than the interior of an automobile. Luxury extended far beyond appearance. The standard equipment list was astonishing for its time. Power windows came standard. Power front disc brakes were included. Variable ratio power steering was standard equipment. A 2-way power driver's seat came with every DeVille. Even front and rear folding armrests were included without additional cost. Cadillac also introduced an advanced flow-through ventilation system that continuously circulated fresh air through the cabin without requiring occupants to lower the windows. In an era before automatic climate control became commonplace, this represented a major improvement in passenger comfort. Perhaps even more impressive was Cadillac's innovative fiber-optic monitoring system. Mounted near the rear package shelf, it allowed drivers to verify that brake lights, taillights, and turn signals were functioning properly without ever leaving the driver's seat. Today, that may sound ordinary. In 1971, it was remarkably advanced. The options list expanded luxury even further. Buyers could order automatic climate control, cruise control, power door locks, twilight sentinel, automatic headlights, power trunk, release, tilt and telescoping, steering wheel, electric sunroof, and Cadillac's sophisticated automatic level control. Suspension. This self-leveling system automatically maintained proper ride height, regardless of passenger or luggage weight, ensuring the DeVille always delivered its signature smooth ride. Beneath the elegant bodywork lay an equally impressive engineering foundation. The completely new perimeter frame featured reinforced front structures designed to improve crash protection while increasing overall rigidity. Independent front suspension combined upper and lower control arms with coil springs carefully tuned for comfort. At the rear, a sophisticated 4-link suspension with coil springs isolated passengers from bumps, road imperfections, and vibrations. Cadillac engineers pursued one overriding objective. Passengers should barely notice the road beneath them. Every suspension component, every rubber mounting point, and every chassis refinement served that single purpose. Driving the DeVille felt almost effortless. Road imperfections disappeared beneath its suspension. Wind noise remained minimal. Even rough highways felt surprisingly smooth. But perhaps the most fascinating part of the 1971 DeVille sat beneath its enormous hood. Power came from Cadillac's legendary 472 cubic inch V8, introduced just a few years earlier. This 7.7-liter engine quickly earned a reputation as one of the finest luxury car power plants in America, originally producing 375 horsepower and an incredible 525 pound-feet of torque. The engine emphasized effortless low-end performance rather than higher-revving excitement. Unlike muscle cars that demanded aggressive acceleration, the Cadillac simply surged forward with quiet confidence. Acceleration felt almost effortless. Instead of roaring dramatically, the engine delivered smooth, uninterrupted torque that made moving such a massive automobile seem almost effortless. However, 1971 also marked the beginning of an important transition. New emissions regulations required manufacturers to lower engine compression ratios to accommodate cleaner fuels. Cadillac responded by reducing compression from 10.0 to 1 to 8.5 to 1 horsepower. declined modestly from 375 to 345 horsepower, yet unlike many competing performance engines of the era that lost enormous amounts of power, Cadillac's big V8 retained nearly all of its legendary torque. Output still reached an astonishing 500 pound-feet. That figure mattered far more than peak horsepower, because maximum torque arrived at relatively low engine speeds. The DeVille rarely needed to work hard. It simply glided down the highway with remarkable composure, effortlessly maintaining speed while remaining whisper-quiet inside. Combined with General Motors' legendary turbohydramatic 400 automatic transmission, one of the most durable automatic gearboxes ever built, the drivetrain became nearly unstoppable. Gear changes were so smooth, many drivers barely noticed them. Everything about the DeVille emphasized refinement rather than excitement. Asterisk. The 1971 Cadillac sedan DeVille was never designed to be a race car. It wasn't marketed as a high-performance machine, nor did Cadillac advertise it as a highway record-breaker. Instead, it was presented exactly as buyers expected: a luxurious, full-size sedan built to deliver unmatched comfort, effortless power, and an exceptionally quiet ride. Yet one extraordinary event would unexpectedly prove just how capable this massive Cadillac really was. In November of 1971, automotive journalist Brock Yates organized what would later become one of the most famous events in American automotive history: the first Cannonball Baker Seat 2 Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash. Unlike professional racing, the Cannonball wasn't held on a closed circuit. It was an unofficial cross-country challenge stretching from New York City to Los Angeles, covering nearly 3,000 miles of public roads. There were no support crews, no race officials, no speed restrictions beyond whatever local law enforcement happened to enforce. Drivers entered everything from exotic European sports cars to specially prepared performance machines, all hoping to complete the journey in the shortest possible time. Among those competitors was an unlikely participant: a completely stock 1971 Cadillac Coupe DeVille. Mechanically, it shared almost everything with the sedan DeVille we've been discussing. It carried the same 472 cubic inch V8, the same turbohydramatic 400 automatic transmission, the same luxurious suspension, the same comfortable interior. No racing modifications, no performance upgrades, no stripped interior. It was, for all practical purposes, the same luxury automobile customers could purchase directly from a Cadillac dealership. Many observers assumed the Cadillac would simply serve as a comfortable cruiser rather than a serious competitor. After all, it weighed over 2 tons. It prioritized comfort above all else. Surely lighter sports cars would dominate such an event. Instead, the Cadillac shocked everyone. By the time the cross-country run ended, the big luxury coupe had finished third overall. Even more impressive, it recorded the highest average speed of the entire event, maintaining an average of approximately 84 miles per hour across nearly 3,000 miles required sustained cruising speeds well above 100 miles per hour in many areas. Think about that achievement. A massive American luxury coupe equipped with plush seats, thick carpeting, air conditioning, power accessories, and a nearly silent cabin had successfully competed against purpose-built performance cars. Its secret wasn't raw top speed. It was endurance. The enormous 27-gallon fuel tank reduced the number of fuel stops. The 472 V8 barely worked while cruising at highway speeds. The turbohydramatic transmission delivered exceptional reliability throughout the journey. Most importantly, the Cadillac allowed its drivers to remain remarkably comfortable during one of the longest non-stop road trips imaginable. Hours behind the wheel barely seemed to affect them. The following year, Cadillac's reputation became even stronger. Another Coupe DeVille entered the Cannonball. This time, the result was nothing short of historic. The Cadillac won the entire event, covering the country in just over 37 hours. It defeated numerous faster-looking competitors by combining reliability, comfort, effortless torque, and remarkable long-distance capability. Suddenly, people began looking at Cadillac very differently. The company hadn't intentionally built a racing machine. Instead, it had created, perhaps, the finest grand touring automobile in America. The Cannonball simply revealed what Cadillac engineers had known all along. Luxury and performance didn't have to exist separately. The same qualities that made the DeVille such an exceptional highway cruiser also made it astonishingly effective during one of history's toughest endurance drives, although the Coupe DeVille often receives the attention because of its cannonball success. Many enthusiasts argue that the sedan DeVille actually represents Cadillac's philosophy even more completely. The coupe emphasized personal luxury. The sedan emphasized family comfort, with 4 full-size doors and limousine-like rear seating. It transported 5 adults in complete comfort, while sacrificing nothing in refinement or performance. It was equally comfortable taking executives to business meetings, carrying families across entire states, or quietly cruising through city streets. Few automobiles have balanced those responsibilities so successfully. Unfortunately, the automotive world was about to change forever. Only 2 years after the 1971 DeVille debuted, the Arab oil embargo dramatically reshaped the American automobile industry. Suddenly, fuel economy became a national concern. Large displacement engines came under increasing pressure. Federal safety regulations grew more demanding. Emissions standards became significantly stricter. Manufacturers who had once focused almost exclusively on comfort and performance now found themselves designing cars around government regulations and fuel consumption targets. Cadillac was no exception. Beginning in the mid-1970s, styling gradually evolved to satisfy new bumper requirements. Engines continued losing compression. Horsepower steadily declined, although Cadillac introduced the even larger 500 cubic inch V8. A few years later, increasing emissions equipment meant its performance no longer reflected its enormous size. Then came perhaps the biggest change of all. For the 1977 model year, General Motors launched its famous downsizing program. The DeVille became significantly shorter, lighter, and more efficient. Those later Cadillacs proved to be excellent automobiles in their own right. They handled better, consumed less fuel, required less space to park. Many collectors appreciate them today, but they represented an entirely different philosophy. The era of unconstrained American luxury had quietly ended. No formal announcement marked its conclusion. No executive declared the end of an era. It simply disappeared as changing economic realities forced manufacturers to build different kinds of automobiles. That's exactly why the 1971 sedan DeVille occupies such an important place in Cadillac history. It represents the final moment when engineers were asked only one question: what is the very best luxury automobile we can build? Not the most fuel efficient, not the least expensive, not the easiest to manufacture, simply the best. Every decision reflected that goal. Dimensions weren't reduced to save material costs. Luxury features weren't deleted to improve profit margins. Suspension tuning wasn't compromised to increase fuel economy. Materials were selected because they felt better. Engines were designed to deliver effortless torque rather than satisfy marketing numbers. Comfort remained the highest priority. More than 50 years later, that philosophy remains obvious the moment you encounter a well-preserved example. The proportions immediately command attention. The long hood stretches confidently ahead of the driver. Chrome trim reflects sunlight exactly as Bill Mitchell intended. The massive body still dominates modern traffic, despite being surrounded by SUVs and pickup trucks. Inside, the spacious cabin continues to impress first-time passengers. The seats remain extraordinarily comfortable. Visibility is excellent. Every control operates with reassuring smoothness. Perhaps most importantly, the driving experience still feels uniquely Cadillac. Turn the key, and the big V8 settles into an almost silent idle. Press the accelerator, and the DeVille moves away with effortless authority. The steering remains light. The suspension absorbs imperfections almost effortlessly. The entire experience reminds you why Cadillac proudly called itself the standard of the world. It wasn't simply advertising. It reflected the company's ambition during one remarkable period in automotive history. Collectors have increasingly recognized the significance of these cars. Well-preserved 1971 sedan DeVille continue attracting growing interest among enthusiasts who appreciate original luxury automobiles. Unlike many rare classics that have become nearly impossible to purchase, quality DeVille remain relatively attainable. Excellent driver quality examples still represent Exceptional value compared with many other luxury collectibles from the same era. However, pristine, highly original survivors are becoming increasingly difficult to find. Each year, more collectors recognize exactly what the 1971 generation represents. Not simply another classic Cadillac, but the final expression of an engineering philosophy that would never return. The DeVille name continued for decades. Cadillac itself continued evolving. Technology improved, safety advanced, efficiency increased, but the conditions that allowed engineers to create an automobile like the 1971 sedan DeVille disappeared forever. Looking back today, this remarkable Cadillac represents far more than chrome, leather, or a giant V8. It represents confidence, an era when American engineers believed there were virtually no limits to what they could accomplish. An era when luxury wasn't measured by digital screens or electronic features, but by craftsmanship, engineering excellence, effortless performance, and uncompromising comfort. That is why the 1971 Cadillac sedan DeVille continues to earn admiration more than half a century later. It wasn't simply one of Cadillac's greatest luxury sedans. For many enthusiasts, it remains the last truly uncompromised full-size American luxury car ever built, a rolling symbol of the moment when Cadillac reached the absolute peak of its ambition.